WTLB Utica.
Good morning, I'm Brad Cupples. Defense Secretary Melvin Laird told newsmen in Washington yesterday that the volunteer U.S. rescue raid into North Vietnam over the weekend was launched with President Nixon's approval. The raid at a North Vietnamese prison 20 miles from Hanoi failed because the American POWs had been moved. North Vietnam is charged that the weekend American airstrikes were the most serious attacks since former President Johnson ordered bombing of North Vietnam stopped in 1968. The North Vietnamese news agency says some U.S. missiles fell short of their target and struck the suburbs of Hanoi. The U.S. claims that no strikes were made above the 19th parallel. The Soviet Union has denounced with indignation the latest U.S. attack on North Vietnam. A government statement issued Monday completely supports Hanoi's demand for an end to American bombings. South Vietnamese Vice President Nguyen Cao Ky breakfast with President Nixon this morning. Ky arrived amid tight security precautions at Andrews Air Force Base outside Washington yesterday. Ky will appear at a National Press Club luncheon and on a TV panel show prior to leaving the U.S. The price of 1971 GM cars is nearly 7% over 1970 models following the return to work of 75,000 UAW workers. The 6.9% increase on average list prices is slightly higher than the initial price boost announced in September. The UN Security Council will name a five-nation fact-finding mission this morning. Its duty will be to investigate Guinean charges of an attempted invasion by African and European mercenaries. The mission will probably leave for West Africa later in the day. Israel has accused Egypt of three grave violations of the Middle East ceasefire agreement. The Israelis charge that Egyptian planes flew three reconnaissance missions over occupied territory. Egypt rejected the charges, saying American U-2s have been spying on Egypt. For the first time in over 5 years, the Senate has upheld a presidential veto. Opponents fell 4 votes short of the needed two-thirds majority Monday as they tried to override the veto of a bill to limit campaign spending on radio and television. Most of the nation is getting a preview of winter. The Midwest is suffering the worst. The deaths, power failures, driving hazards, and school shutdowns are being left in the storm's wake. 12 of the 15 weather-related deaths have been reported in the snow and wind-riddled Midwest. The Hawaiian island of Kauai has been hit by surf reaching 22 feet in height Monday, washing water on some roads. The high surf comes almost a year after giant 50-foot waves slammed into Oahu's northern coast. The Weather Bureau also expects dangerous surf along the other islands in the chain. A 17-year-old self-proclaimed American Nazi testified Monday he was shot in the chest by the brother of convicted assassin James Earl Ray. The shooting occurred after an attempted theft of records from the National States' Rights Party headquarters in Savannah, Georgia. 35-year-old Jerry William Ray is charged with aggravated assault. Britain's Prince Philip says he thinks British workers who threatened to strike may be more frustrated by their jobs than greedy for money. The Prince, Queen Elizabeth's husband, spoke at a dinner of the Industrial Society Conference in London yesterday. On the state scene, with drifts of up to 12 feet, residents of western New York are digging out of the first blast of the winter season. Hardest hit by the storm were the snowbelt areas of southern Erie, western Chautauqua, western Wyoming, and all of Genesee counties. A spokesman for the New York State Thruway Authority says all sections of the road have been reopened to traffic today. The Thruway's western section was closed yesterday because of blowing and drifting snow. The opening was announced at 12:35 this morning. In Genesee County, police report many roads closed. Officials at Batavia Downs were forced to cancel last night's 10-race program due to the storm. Authorities in Wyoming County report about 18 inches of snow in the western part of the county. Sheriff's deputies urge no travel except in emergencies. And a state of emergency was declared in the Erie County town of Evans after wind gusts piled the snow into 12-foot drifts in some areas. The metropolitan Buffalo area escaped the brunt of the storm. A spokesman for the National Weather Service office in Buffalo says only a trace of snow fell in the area. Another day-long bargaining session is on tap in Utica today as the strike against Mohawk Airlines enters the end of its second week. Officials of management and the Pilots Association held a 4.5-hour face-to-face meeting yesterday, but no progress was reported. The governor went to Washington last night to try to forge a unity drive in Congress to secure passage of a $10 billion tax-sharing program. Governor Rockefeller told a meeting of the state's 41-member congressional delegation that the plan would mainly benefit large industrial states. New York, he said, would stand to gain $1 billion a year in added federal aid. The WTLB weather, variable cloudiness, windy and quite cold this morning and during the day, with a chance of snow squalls or scattered snow flurries throughout the area. Possibly 3 to 6 inch snow accumulation in the snowbelt areas. Overnight lows in the teens or possibly a little lower, highs during the day in the upper teens to mid-20s. Clearing and continued quite cold Tuesday night with a chance of a few lingering snow flurries, lows 5 to 15 above, except colder over the snow surface areas. Right now it's 23 degrees in central New York. This is Brad Cupples, WTLB News.